More now with Daniela Volker and Kai Höss and the documentary film The Commandant's Shadow. 80 years after your grandfather, Kai, oversaw Auschwitz, you returned there with your elderly father. So what was that experience like for you and for him?
I want to talk about my own experience first. I was heartbroken. I remember that whole week. We had, reading the explanations, the narration, listening to our tour guide, and just, being immersed in this environment. You just imagine what happened on those platforms where people were separated left, right. And those that went left, half an hour later, they were gassed. Children, women, pregnant women, the elderly. And I have children of my own. I have 4 children. Can you imagine your children being separated from you? The trauma they go through that very moment when they're so scared, and how heartless those, my grandfather, how he conceived this entire system, to exterminate millions of people and making it more efficient. Did he have a heart? It just broke me. I spent that whole week repeatedly. I was just sobbing. At the same time, it gave me more of a resolve. It created a much stronger resolve in me to stand up for what happened there, because it is undeniable. And there is clear, my grandfather's, Daniela mentioned earlier, his memoirs, if you want to call it that, he wrote this down. There's a detailed report of what he did. And that he was instructed by Himmler and the leaders of the Nazi regime to carry that out, and he was the willing tool in their hands to do it. And that is a written. It's there. It's proof. And so that gave me a much greater resolve. Now, coming to my daddy, I think he was very much pricked in his heart when he stood, and especially I saw his face. I remember looking at him from the side as he stood there with his little stroller, and he was like looking at the gallows. And I just think you have to put yourself in his shoes. This is your dad, who actually was, executed on the very same gallows. And I know it broke his heart at the same time, but he told me, and he also says it, he feels very sad and heartbroken about what his own father did. Although his own father never, his recollection is that his dad never talked about it. Rudolf Höss never talked about his work at home.
He was shielded from it, and it's very clear in the film, the contrast between his life and what was happening in Auschwitz. So, Kai, right. If you were not a Christian, Kai, how could you ever overcome all this, knowing your grandfather was the worst mass murderer in history? What difference has your faith made in this?
Well, and if someone understands how it works with regards to redemption, that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, he died on the cross for the sins of the whole world. Yeah. And it's by the grace of God that I'm safe, because the penalty I would receive, even that transgenerational, the sins of the fathers to the 3rd and 4th generation, you talked about at the beginning, that curse is real. For unrepentant sinners. And when people have that in a family, quite often sin is condoned, and they say, no, it was right that we did this sin, or they suppress it like it was in my family, but that sin is not gone. And the only one that can atone, that has atoned for that, is Jesus Christ. Simply by grace alone, through faith alone, in Jesus Christ alone, plus nothing. I didn't go into this and say, well, I need to somehow find a way to feel better about myself, and I think religion is the way to go. No, I didn't find a religion. I found the relationship with the living God. I mean, I'm a Gentile saved by a Jewish Messiah.
Finally, Daniela, what are you hoping people will leave the theater knowing and feeling? What's the takeaway?
Well, I hope people will remember, first of all, what happened, because it was the first and biggest, really, instance of industrialized killing of a people. But I also hope that they will understand, that past actions have repercussions in the present. It's like shock waves going down the generations, and that can happen in any post-conflict situation. And also that there is hope for the future. If a woman who survived, as she says, the hell of Auschwitz, has it in her to meet the son of the commandant in her own house, surrounded by the pictures of her dead, her parents killed by the Nazis. That is, I think, a very powerful message. You know, it shows us that there is some hope. And as Anita herself says, you know, we really have to talk to each other. You know, dialogue is the future.
The film is The Commandant's Shadow. Daniela Volker and Kai Höss, thank you for sharing this remarkable film with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.